Okay. Hi everyone. So as we all know that in our daily lives we saw some societies affected by gender inequality, which contributes a lot to its citizens. So as a cooperative group, we are going to to see how gender affects some individuals by firstly discuss on how sociologists explain gender. Secondly, we are going to explain how conflict theorists and functionalists view gender. Then lastly, Samkelisiwe Somacala is going to discuss some critiques of conflict theories and those of functionalists on gender.
Okay, I will be answering the first question, which is how do sociologists view gender? What do they say gender is? According to sociologists, to understand the sociology of gender, one must understand the sociological definition of gender and sex. Sex is understood by sociologists to be a biological categorization based on reproductive organs. As you can see in this chart, under sociologists' view, we have an arrow pointing at the organ, which means sex is the organ. And we have an arrow pointing at the head, which means gender is in the brain. And most people fall into categories of men and women. However, there are others that do not fall under that category. Those are known as unisex. As you can see here, this circle is represented by, this is a woman, and this one is a man. And then the one that's in between are those we call unisex. Therefore, sex is a biological classification based on body parts. Gender, on the other hand, is a social classification based on one's identity, representation of self, behavior, and interaction with others. Sociologists view gender as learned behavior and culturally produced identity, and as such, it is a social category. That sociologists view gender as social constructs become apparent, especially when one compares how men and women behave across different cultures. In Southern African culture, men and women are viewed as distinctly different and opposite. Other cultures, however, challenge this assumption and have less distinct view of masculinity and femininity. Now I will hand over to Ubuhle to elaborate more on the sociologist's view of gender.
Thanks to Kanyo, and I'll continue about defining gender based on a sociological view. Okay, in South Africa, normally all racial and ethnic groups have a long outstanding belief concerning gender roles. Like, for example, I will take a Zulu culture. The role of a woman in a Zulu culture is that of a subordinate one, whereby the woman is inferior in both status and value. You'd find that a woman cooks, clean, and has babies and bring them up. It cultivates the land as you cultivates the land and harvest. As you can see in this picture, that this woman is cultivating a land in order to plow mini in order to provide food for the family. Not necessarily that it's her job like to provide food, but the job is doing it for the woman. Okay, and another job for women is that they collect firewood so that they can make fire and prepare food for the children. Okay, while on the other hand, men are regarded as superior to women, and they are in complete control of all the possessions. you find that men are expected to devote their physical power in all necessities in order to provide for the family. As you can see in this picture, the men went for hunting in the mountain in order to find food like animals that can be eaten in order to bring them home and provide food for their family. Okay, what this suggests is that we learn gender through the process of socialization. For many people, this process starts while they are very young, not very young, in fact, when they are unborn babies, like when they are fetus in their mother's womb. We find that mothers start to select the baby's name, their unborn baby's names, like based on gender. Even if they buy toys, you find that mothers, they tend to buy stronger toys for boys, children, and they tend to buy soft toys for girl children. Okay, then from infant, we are socialized by family, educators, and religious leaders, and the society, the wider society. Okay, who teach us what is expected from us in terms of the appearance and behavior based on whether they code us as a boy or a girl. Media and popular culture are other mechanisms that play a role in teaching us about gender. Another aspect of gender socialization is a formation of gender identity, which is one's definition of oneself as a man or a woman. Gender identity shapes how we think about others as us and ourselves as, and also influences our behavior. For example, gender identity has a strong effect on how we dress and how we do things in a society. Okay, that in this picture, I haven't mentioned something about this picture. You see here when I was talking about the role, the socialization of parents in their children. You see in this picture there is a written that as big strong boy. You'll see that men are regarded as strong. As you see the written, it's strong, and here it's a little cute girl, which is something that it is a girls are socialized as being something that are so tangible, soft, and all that sort. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I am quite delighted to be a member of this group that is called the Black Diamond, and I am also delighted to present about this presentation that is about functionalism. I will be more focusing on functionalism, which is also called functionalist perspective. Functionalism started when Durkheim published his major works, including Moral Education, the Evolution of Educational Thought, and Education of Society. My main focus is on how do functionalists view gender. Functionalist theorists argue that men fill instrumental roles in society, while women fill expressive roles which work to the benefit of the society.
Putting an emphasis to what Magabong has just said, as a group, we decided to use different pictures to further explain functionalist theory. According to different theories, they argue that gender differentiation is bad for society in general and for women in particular, because it keeps women from reaching their potential and contributing to society. But looking at the functionalist theory, they argue that gender differentiation contributes to the stability of society. For example, in traditional communities like the Zulu culture, men and women have different roles to play. Referring to the poster, both men and women have to play their own role in order to maintain the society in equilibrium, and also in order to maintain the stability of the society. And also gender differentiation specify that when you are a woman, these are some of the things that you should be doing. like cooking, cleaning, and caring for babies. It is the fact that if one of the parents is not playing his or her own role, or if one of the parents is not present in a child's life, it may lead to a dysfunctional of the family or the society. Using an example, by the society that I'm coming from, where there are many gangsters, it was discovered that these young gangsters are committing crime because they are coming from families where there are no fathers present in their life. For gender differentiation, argues that men are regarded as someone who are masculine, being as dominant, independent, and not easily hurt emotionally. And also, men are better suited for performing instrumental roles and performing goal-directed behavior, whereas women are regarded as feminine, being as submissive, dependent, and easily emotionally hurt. As you see here, the man is supporting a woman who's looking emotionally hurt.
Now let us look at the views of the conflict theorists on how they see gender. Firstly, conflict theorists suggest that society is defined by the struggle for dominance among social groups that compete for scarce resources. Unlike the functionalists who believe that social order is maintained through value consensus, the conflict theorist posits that it is preserved through the exercise of power of one social class held over another. Now, in the context of gender, conflict theory argues that gender is best understood as men attempting to maintain power and privilege to the disadvantage of women. So in that case, men are seen as a subordinate, as a dominant group, and women as a subordinate group. Men exploit the women for their benefit.
Yes, to further analyze on what my brother said. In the conflict theory, men are seen as dominant and the women are seen as the inferior. If you look at it in terms of conflict theory, the men are seen as bourgeoisies and the women are seen as the proletariat. So what happens here is that men are power women in terms of they are seen as the masculine. In this matter, the men are regarded as the ones that have power. They go and look for food, meaning they go and look for jobs. They are the ones who are supposed to work and bring food at home, while the women are expected to do the chores, the house chores. They clean the house, they look after the kids, and all sorts of things that they have to do inside the house. So the conflict theory is against that. They say that women are also needs to be empowered. They need to also have a voice in everything. There's this thing of 50-50, meaning women are supposed to be equal to men. As you can see on the charts, if you can look here on the charts, conflict theory also says that women should also have positions that are same as men in the workplace. If we can look here, it says gender gap in wages. So conflict theory states that the women also have to earn more as maid in the workplace. Also in this picture, it says another day, another 77 cents, meaning that the women are not being paid as much as men in the workplace. As we know, here in South Africa, most companies are owned by men. There's a few women who own companies, there's a few women who owns shares in the companies. And also, there was a matter here in South Africa whereby they wanted to elect Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma as the president. And most people were arguing that they can't be led by someone who is female, meaning that we're still struggling with this issue of the genders in the workplace.
So conflict theory asserts that there should be balance in the workplace. Women should also get salaries that are same as men. Here, there's a photo of a man holding a vendor machine and also holding a child, meaning he's looking after a child and cleaning the house, meaning that there should be 50-50. That the men should also do the work of a woman, the woman should also do the work of a man. It must be 50-50. Also here, it says, the picture says, but my dear, we don't pay you less because you are a woman. We pay you less because we are men. Meaning that men are supposed to earn more than women. You understand? And also here, they are pulling the rope, meaning the woman wants to be equal to men, you know, in the workplace, because you can see here they are wearing formal. And this whole theory is spoke about, or the one who came with this is Karl Marx, as we put this picture in the sense of these pictures. Here it says, we'll work for food. The man says, we'll work for food. And the woman says, we'll work for 28% less food. Meaning, they always get less compared to men. They always get less in terms of the workplace and everything in our homes. In my home, for example, the man, my father, was considered to be the head of the family because he's a man, he's a masculine, he has power over the woman. Also here, the man is giving the woman the money, meaning that men always own more resources more than women, you know. Here in South Africa, there's been many acts that has been launched to ensure that in the workplace, the employment is equal, like the men gets employment is equal to women. And we have Employment Equity Act, which are set for that, or make sure that women are being employed and they own shares or in the company, and also men own shares in the company equally. And there's also affirmative action that stands for equality in the workplace.
From Uqiniso, I will look at the views of both functionalist and conflict theory on gender. I will engage in a critical discussion for each perspective. There are a number of criticisms that are leveled against the functionalist perspective or approach on gender. One of the criticisms is that functionalists justify the domestic division of labor between men and women as something that is natural and unproblematic. For example, in some societies, you find that some jobs are categorized as for men, while some are categorized as for women. In this case, there is division of duties or responsibilities across genders. On the other hand, conflict theory is viewed as primarily gender blind and in need of an additional theory to understand gender relations. Scholars outline that there is a need to make the roles of women and men visible in order to understand the different ways in which they are involved in. For example, there are jobs where women's different biology will make it difficult for them to carry out the physical demanding task. In this case, this critique is emphasizing that there is a need for duties or for jobs to be categorized for whether it is for men or women, because men and women are not the same. In this case, men are more muscular than women, which in some jobs they do not fit because of their physical abilities.
To also add on what my colleague has said, I can also add that there's a theory that came up with Karl Marx, which is called feminism. Feminism is concerned or focused on women and to empower women and to make them feel as equal as men. So in this case, the feminism movement takes the position that functionalism neglects the suppression of women within the family structure. So as my fellow colleagues have said, as functionalist states that it is okay for women to be divided from men, like in terms of jobs, like the females have to clean, wash dishes and look after kids, while the man has to go and hunt and look for food for the family and provide for the family. So in this case, the feminism says that the functionalism neglects the suppression of women within the family. So it does not focus on whether the women are really being disadvantaged by the men in the family. It does not look at the context of family. Also in the conflict theory focused too strongly on gender and racial inequality. And it also exaggerates the problems of economic inequality. And it overemphasizes the disagreement and competition within men and women. Thank you.
Sociologists view gender as something that is socially constructed rather than something about the biological appearance. And then functionalists view gender to be about division of roles across unconforming gender, which is men and women. While conflict theorists view gender as men being dominant and women being subordinate gender. The critique of a functionalist view is that it views gender division as something that is natural and unproblematic. Thank you for viewing our video.